Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays. Today I got some new videos to show you, some new collections, stuff from my vast collection of movies, it seems like. So I'm going to show some of them off to you. There's one new one in here that I got recently that I want to show you that's really interesting. So let's start it off with, I got this four movies for you, which this is through Timeless Media, 20th Century Fox. It's called Movies for You, Timeless Westerns. There's a whole different series of them with different things. This was a now these movies are from the 70s, and they kind of remind me of some like grindhouse movies. Quentin Tarantino, kind of these grindhouse westerns. One of them is kind of a black's exploitation type movie. The Take a Hard Ride. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's got some really hard biting westerns from the 70s. You got, well, actually, Rio Conchos is from 1964. Take a Hard Ride. Butch and Sundance, the early years, which is from 79, and then Last of the Hard Men from 76. So yeah, it's a 2-disc set. It's got 2 movies on each one. Watched them. They got a great picture. I mean, pretty decent. They look like maybe they've been, had maybe a high definition scan of them. They look fairly, cleaned up. I seen one of these movies years ago, and it looked kind of rough. It looked kind of beat up. So they must have scanned it or done some kind of cleanup of it. I think it was Last of the Hard Men. It looked pretty sharp. But first movie on here, Rio Conchos. It's from 1964. It stars Richard Boone, Stuart Whitman, Jim Brown, Tony Francioso. Man, I tore that name up. And Edmund O'Brien, Rio Conchos. Now, as an ex-army officer played by Richard Boone, is revenging himself against Apache Indians who have massacred his family. He recovers a stolen U.S. Army repeating rifle and from the Apaches, and the U.S. Army arrests him for having it. And we're like, where did you get this rifle? Because it's one of a kind, because they only had a small set of them that they have. No, they haven't given them to anyone. And they arrest him, and in offering his freedom, they get him to lead a small group of Army officers and Apache trackers, and kind of a band of, small little band of mercenaries, if you will, into Mexico, which consisting of Army Captain Stuart Whitman. It has a Buffalo Soldier played by Jim Brown in his film debut, actually. There's a knife-wielding Mexican prisoner played by Tony Franciosa, an Apache woman warrior. So after blasting their way through the bandits and Apache, they discover a megalomaniac Confederate soldier played by Edmund O'Brien selling guns to the Apaches. So it's a pretty good movie. It's action-packed. It's 1964. Around this time, movies were moving towards Sergio Leone's movies. The Italian westerns were getting popular over there. In the U.S., movies like The Professionals, and then eventually The Wild Bunch shows a kind of turn in westerns of the 60s to be a little more graphic, so to speak, a little more to the point, and even a little, I don't know, a little bit grind. That's what I'm saying. It's like a grindhouse type of movie experience. It's kind of exploited a little bit. It's kind of, you know what I mean. So yeah, Rio Concho's really good movie. The next movie, Take a Hard Ride, which is pretty much a black exploitation movie Western style. And it's a movie starring Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Lee Van Cleef from the Dollars trilogy, and Catherine Spack. I guess that's her name. Uh, I'm gonna read basically what their summary here is. Take a tough as nails trail boss, played by Jim Brown, a smooth gambler, played by Fred Williamson, a ruthless bounty hunter, played by Lee Van Cleef, and a mute martial arts expert, uh, who's played by Jim Kelly, who was in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. A desperate prostitute, played by Catherine Spack, which she was in Cat of Nine Tails, which I believe is a Dario Argento movie. So you see the Italian connection here. And then you take hundreds of greed-crazed gunmen and turn them all loose and chase to the Mexican border for a fortune in gold. And you have an action-packed epic. Hollywood legends Dana Andrews and Barry Sullivan also star. Also, Harry Carey Jr. Shows up in here and co-star. But yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, it's basically, you know, movies of the time. You know, you had The Black Caesar, you had Pam Grier with Foxy Brown, Coffee. Some movies like that were popular through, you know, from the early 70s to about mid 70s or so. And this was 1975, so about that time they were trying some new stuff, and it's a pretty cool concept. It shows it's really good. Great movie. I mean, just has grindhouse all over it. And apparently there was a whole series of movies with like Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, and stuff. And there's a great interview here with Fred Williamson does a separate interview, and Jim Brown does an interview in the special features that really, really good. Kind of spreads out the story and all the different stuff. So it's really cool. So yeah, so the first disc is pretty good. Second disc from 1979, we got Butch and Sundance, the early years. It's a movie starring Tom Berenger and William Catt, who would go on to be in The House, the horror movie House, in 1986. And he did some other stuff, of course, but he's probably most famous for that. He was in this. This is from 1979, and it's a basically telling the early years of Butch and Sundance, how they got together, and kind of tells some of the, you know, how they got started and everything. Of course, you know, there's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that came out in, was it 1969, with Robert Redford and Paul Newman, which, you know, was an international hit, legendary movie western of the 70s. And this is basically a kind of a cashing in on the name and stuff, but it's a pretty good movie. I mean, it's pretty solid. It's, you know, it's nothing huge, but basically just how they show some of their first robberies and stuff like that. So, you know, it kind of stops at a certain point, and everything. So yeah, you know, there you go. Butch and Sundance early years. Next up, and the last on this disc, is The Last of the Hard Men. Excuse me. This stars Charlton Heston and James Coburn. Came out in 1976, and basically the story is it's a group of convicts while on a road gang. They escape custody. James Coburn basically busts everybody out. He had a plan. One of the convicts is Zach Provo. It's played by James Coburn, and who was sent to a prison by former lawman Sam Burgate, which is Charlton Heston's character. So once he hears that he's busted out, he's going to be after him. He's going to get his man, put him back in prison, or kill him, either way. And But not only did he capture him, but he might have killed James Coburn's wife in the process. And basically, Provost's plan is to kidnap Charlton Heston's daughter, who's very beautiful, very lovely. Everyone thinks she's beautiful and all that. The innocent daughter, and kidnap her, which will prompt Charlton Heston to strap on his guns again and come after him so that he can seek his revenge. It's based on the novel Gundown by Brian Garfield, who penned Death Wish. So you get that kind of revenge going on in it. It's directed by Andrew V. McLaughlin, who did McClintock, Chisholm, and The Undefeated, and a bunch of others with John Wayne, son of Victor McLaughlin, the famous actor. So yeah, The Last of the Hard Men, really good movies, really good revenge. James Coburn just has a ball in this movie. I mean, he's just. I mean, if you loved him in, say, Duck You Sucker, stuff like that, he's just really good in this movie. He's just you can just tell he's having a ball. Charlton Heston, he's got the mustache. He's serious and stoic, and he's going to get his man. It's worth the price of this disc alone to see The Last of the Hard Men. Really good. Highly recommend that. Rio Concho's really good movie. I was surprised how good it looked still. I mean, I barely remember it from seeing it many years ago. I thought it was really cool back in the day. But seeing it again was like, wow, this is really good. And then for the extra added movie, Take a Hard Ride with Jim Brown and Fred Williamson, makes this disc, and you got to get this. I think you can find this on Amazon for like $12, which is totally worth it for Blu-ray. It looks great. Sound is good on it. I believe it has subtitles. I believe it's got interviews. There's also an interview with William Catt on the Butch and Sundance early years. But overall, I mean, they're all good movies. Butch and Sundance is probably the wild card in the bunch, which maybe I just need to watch it again and stuff. It's one of those movies that'll probably grow on you over time. But yeah, this is a great movie. It's or disc set. I mean, it's like grindhouse westerns, which is super cool. So there you go. Probably find that on Amazon for sure. Next up, this is a public domain release of a great movie that originally MGM released this, and I don't understand why why they didn't renew this. I think it came up for renewal in like 1979. For some reason, it didn't get renewed, so it fell into the public domain. So now you got 1,000 crappy copies out there to choose from now. So basically throw a dart at one of them and pick it, because who knows what you're going to get in the public domain. But highly, this movie's been highly recommended on so many lists and my research and stuff. Burt Lancaster in Vengeance Valley, and this is teamed up with Rage at Dawn, a great movie with Randolph Scott. So this, I think I paid $3 on eBay and was free shipping. So that's a great, that was a good, couldn't pass that up just to see. And really, Vengeance Valley looks pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of color degradation, or the color is just kind of screwed a little bit here and there, and it's kind of out of focus. It's got a lot of white in it and stuff, but it kind of comes and goes. So it's not altogether a horrible copy, but it did kind of distract me from the movie a little bit, watching it. Rage at Dawn really is not a great copy of it. I have two copies of it because I'm a Randolph Scott fan, and better copies of it. But I really got this disc just to see Vengeance Valley, and I hope one day maybe it can get restored. Maybe they can do a great high definition scan of it and clean it up, and maybe somebody like Shout Factory or Arrow Films or somebody can release it and have a good, because it's a great solid western from the 50s. I think it came out in 1952. I'm a big fan, Burt Lancaster. It's a really good movie. So yeah, so I just took a chance on the public domain. I usually stay away from the public domain because you just really don't get any good stuff in the public domain. They're just copied. They basically take a copy that's been copied, that's been copied, that's been copied. If you've ever had a VHS tape and you keep taping over it, using it, you'll see the condition it is. It's just really not good. This probably came from a VHS tape at one time, probably, and it's just, but anyways, I just wanted to see it. It was a great movie, well worth the money. So finally, this is a movie I got recently. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. It's such a cult favorite now. It's a movie that, it's just like, how did this movie get made? It came out in I think it came out in 69 or 70. It's kind of like, how did this movie get made? It would never get made these days. It's just all the stuff in it. The movie I'm talking about is Pretty Maids All in a Row. This is a bona fide cult classic starring Rock Hudson. It's also got the great Angie Dickinson in it, Telly Savalas, and Roddy McDowall, and Keenan Wynn. I mean, it's got this great cast of legends in it. Rock Hudson plays this school counselor, and he basically counsels the girls into, coming over to his house later, if you know what I mean. It's really weird. It's like it would not be made today. It just wouldn't be made. But if you watch it, it's not weird. It's like, that girl's not a high school girl. But it's just, I mean, if you see the cover, it's got all the, half sensual poses and stuff of these girls and stuff. But it is a great movie. Like I said, Rock Hudson plays a counselor of Oceanfront High School. There's this kid, he's obsessed with sex, a student and stuff, and I think he gets turned down by the girl, or he's jealous of the school counselor or something. So a bunch of murders start happening and stuff, and it's really a great black comedy. I mean, it's a black comedy, kind of a sex comedy, black comedy, murder mystery, cult classic. But yeah, it's got Telly Savalas plays the cop. Angie Dickinson plays a substitute teacher, and basically it's just a mystery. And the thing is, the screenplay was by Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek. He did this movie. I think after Star Trek ended, he wrote the screenplay. He also produced it, Gene Roddenberry. It's actually based on a novel by Francis Paolini. Gene Roddenberry did the screenplay and worked on it and stuff. Directed by Roger Vadim, who famous French director who made Barbarella with Jane Fonda, and made some other great movies in there around that time. MGM released it, and it's one of those movies that's like, wow, how did this get made? But it's great. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's not like it's got, it's just got racy scenes in it. But definitely an R-rated movie. It's R-rated then. It's nothing horrible, but very interesting cult classic here. Pretty Maids All in a Row. But yeah, it's kind of like somebody's killing the beautiful girls of this high school mystery. So it's really interesting, guys. So if you get a chance to get it, I thought I'd go ahead and get it before it's, you know, banned or something for all time and it's thrown into the fire and stuff, kind of becoming a thing again, you know. Or something, whatever. I'm just babbling on. It's a great movie, guys. Go out and get it. I've seen it a dozen times. It's like on TCM a lot. I've seen it back in the day, like on TNT channel, TBS. They showed it all the time. Kind of a 1 o'clock in the morning movie, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a good movie. Highly recommend it. Most of all, I highly recommend this 470s grindhouse western set. It's really good. Highly recommend that. And I guess take your chances if you want to see Vengeance Valley, because I don't believe there's a great copy out there unless we get something maybe from Germany or Europe, maybe restored. They do a lot of cool stuff, and various movies you'll see over time will come out and restored and stuff. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Tried to do a little variety for you. Comment what you thought about, you know, the Pretty Maids All in a Row movie. What did you think about it? Is it controversial? Is it just a silly comedy murder mystery? What did you think about it? And if you're a fan of any of those, comment. Let me know what you thought about it. And if you like this episode and you want to see other episodes like this, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell for the notification so you will know when I release a new video first. And just throw up a thumbs up or thumbs down if you didn't like it. But I do appreciate everyone who subscribes and watches. I try to do a little something different, show you some movies. You know, I try to recommend some good stuff for you to hunt down and see yourself. So there you go. So until next time, guys, I'm Mike. Be cool to each other. Watch good movies. And as a friend once told me, drive fast and take chances, which is pretty funny. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.